Welcome back guys, White Sailor here, and today we're talking about the revered living saint of the Adepta Sororitas Order of our Martyred Lady, a being of incredible psychic power and faith, believed by many in the Imperium of Man to have been resurrected from death many times as a tool of the Emperor of Mankind himself, Saint Celestine. Very little is known of the life of the battle sister known as Celestine before she was declared a living saint, other than that she was once a sister repentia of the Order of our Martyred Lady that fought alongside the multitudes of imperial faithful during the protracted war against the heretics of the Palatine Schism. Celestine was at the forefront of the first wave of the deadliest fighting, and was thought to have been killed in battle before the capital city of the planet Euration. She fell that day, alongside every other repentia, as Celestine's body was reclaimed by her sisters and set amongst the honored dead. They saw that life still lingered within her, and the light of one touched by the divine will of the Emperor glowed within her eyes. Cleansing her body of the blood and filth of battle, the sisters were astonished to find that her body lay flawless before them. The next solar day, the assault resumed, with Celestine at the head of the imperial forces. The heretics fell within solar hours as Celestine wreaked her bloody vengeance. She was hailed as the Crusade's sacred figurehead, as the entire sector was eventually scoured of schismatics. The Crusade's leader, Lord Militant Ansgar, believed the Crusade would reach its conclusion on the capital ward of the Palatine sector, but Celestine insisted upon first liberating the small backwater planet of Sanctus Lis. Unknown to all but her, that world was home to the shrine of Saint Catherine of the Order of the Fiery Heart, a holy place visited by that living saint in secret just before her death. Celestine's followers found a broken altar amidst some ruins and were ordered by Celestine to remove it. Beneath the shattered remains, a hidden crypt was found. Barring any from following her, Celestine descended the dusty steps that none had trod in millennia. As the dawn of first light broke above the ruined shrine, Celestine rose from the tomb, borne aloft on a column of divine radiance and attended by cherubs and doves. She was now clad in a suit of shining golden power armor and wielded a vibrant blade that none could look upon, the Ardent Blade. After her apotheosis, Celestine was declared a living saint by Lord Militant Ansgar and a conclave of Thorian ecclesiarchy priests shortly thereafter. Saint Celestine was hailed as the hero martyr of the Palatine Crusade and praised for dispatching thousands of heretics at the vanguard of the imperial forces as she prosecuted numerous later wars of faith. Alas, Saint Celestine was lost to the Imperium whilst fighting the renegade War Master of Thorax when the lunatic War Master triggered the meltdown of the ancient atomic pile at the heart of his fortress. An area many Terran kilometers across was blasted to ash. Many believe she perished during her moment of triumph, yet none survived to give a true account of the battle's conclusion. The mighty Tower of Heroes upon Sacred Terra told once to proclaim her loss to the faithful, a billion souls pausing in their toil and looking towards the Emperor's imperial palace, united in their grief for the fallen heroine of mankind. But the sororities at prayer within the halls of the convent prioris were gladdened by the mournful peal, for they knew that had she fallen, Celestine was now sitting joyfully at the right hand of the Emperor. There are those amongst the faithful whom believe that Saint Celestine did not die, although centuries ago fighting against the War Master of Thorax, for there have been some confirmed sightings of the living saint throughout the ages. In one incident, during the Promethean War in 980 M41, the Order of the Epon Chalas was sent to reinforce the Space Marines of the Salamanders chapter in a brutal urban war against the dread Chaos Space Marines of the Black Legion on the Cardinal Ward of Hilitine. The enemy was put to the torch, as dozens of emulators and land raider redeemers burned a path through the war-torn cities. Despite the strength of their forces, the advance was halted when Lord Gralastix, the demon prince leading the forces of chaos, unleashed a swarm of possessed Chaos Space Marines. As the frenzied Chaos horde ripped through the imperial ranks, Battle Sisters and Space Marines alike fought back to back, their bolters and flamers blazing away as every warrior endeavored to sell their lives dearly. However, the allied forces were saved by the miraculous intervention of Saint Celestine, as she appeared out of nowhere, falling upon the Chaos Horde like an avenging angel. The living saint carved a path through the horde towards Lord Gralastix before plunging her blade through his black heart. With the death of Gralastix, the Chaos Horde was destroyed, but of Saint Celestine there was no sign, for she had vanished as mysteriously as she appeared. As Abaddon the Despoiler's 13th Black Crusade raged on the fortress wall of Cadia in 999 M41, Saint Celestine suddenly appeared once more, claiming she had been resurrected by the will of the Emperor in the hour of his Imperium's greatest need. She appeared swathed in flame above the bloody Cadian battlefields of Kashraf. But she did not come alone, for she brought with her some 5 companies of battle sisters of the Order of our Martyred Lady. Thought lost in the warp some 1400 standard years before, her radiant light had served as a beacon through the imprint, drawing the wounded vessel into the path of another Imperial craft and binding the two until real space claimed them both once more. With their arrival, the battle for Cadia shifted for a time in the Imperial defenders' favor. Celestine immediately engaged the demon prince Orcanthus with 2 canonesses of the Order of our Martyred Lady he had recently slain. Celestine had used her power and their extraordinary faith to bring them back to life to serve as her honor guard. These were Genevieve and Eleanor, the living saint's Gemini superior. Together, the living saint and her reborn warriors slew the overconfident servers of the Dark Gods when they threw the demon prince's broken body from the walls of Kashraf. It helped to demoralize the Despoiler's forces, routing them and buying the Imperials some needed breathing space between constant chaos assaults. It was during this respite that another newcomer to the fight on Cadia, the Adeptus Mechanicus Archmagos Dominus Belisarius Cole, explained that the Despoiler's real goal was to destroy Cadia and the Xenos pylons that were scattered in concentrations across its surface. The pylons kept the warp from bleeding into real space and maintained the only clear passage out of the Eye of Terror, known as the Cadian Gate. With that destruction, the forces of chaos would be able to launch themselves out of the Eye and overwhelm the defenses of the Imperium at the same time that they would be able to summon an endless legion of demons until Terra itself had fallen and the Emperor cast down from his golden throne. Lord Castellan Orsarka E. Creed, the commander of the Imperial forces on Cadia, ordered that the catacombs beneath the pylons under the Illusion fields be reinforced to serve as a last line of defense to hold back the expected chaos assault, while Cole worked to explore the pylon systems and discover a way that they could be used as a weapon against chaos. Unknown to Creed and Celestine, Cole had secretly been contacted by the Necron Lord Trazyn the Infinite, who had decided to aid humanity in its fight against their common foe in the warp. With Trazyn's knowledge, Cole was able to determine how to use the pylons to cut off the local area of space-time from contact with the Immaterium. But as he worked, the arch-enemy launched its assault against the catacombs, and Creed and Celestine led the defense. What was not expected was that Abaddon the Despoiler, frustrated beyond reason by Cadia's continuing defiance, led that assault himself. As the ground battle between the Despoiler's invaders and Creed's defenders reached its climax, Cole activated the pylons. The Necron technology operated precisely as had been expected, cutting off Cadia from the warp, banishing the demons of chaos, actually shrinking the Eye of Terror and giving Cadia's defenders a chance for yet another unlikely victory. However, the loss of access to the Immaterium also affected Celestine, whose own extraordinary powers of faith were also fueled by the psychic currents of the warp. Meeting the Despoilers head-on, in her weakened form, she was defeated by the War Master of Chaos. Even as she sat at his feet, she promised him that mankind would one day be free of his vile masters. "There is no freedom," was his only reply, but Celestine was saved at the last moment when the Inquisitor Katarina Greyfax of the Ordo Hereticus, recently freed from one of Trazyn's Tesseract labyrinths, physically assaulted Abaddon, forcing the Despoiler to back away. Before he could resume the advance, the pylon strike upon the Immaterium intensified, banishing the Despoiler's demons and weakening his forces. A massed attack on the Despoiler by Creed and his 8th Cadian Regiment of Cadian shock troops failed when Abaddon and his Chaos Terminators broke the charge and badly wounded Creed, severing one of his arms. But just as the Despoiler moved to put an end to the Lord Castellan by cracking his spine, Celestine, though much diminished, managed to stab him from behind with the Ardent Blade. The Emperor protects, Celestine promised the wounded Despoiler. Abaddon lurched away from Celestine, her blade ripping free of his flesh. It had been millennia since he had last been so wounded, and his spirit boiled with vengeance. But as the remaining troops of the Cadian 8th surged to reclaim their beloved general, Abaddon realized he had no time for the luxury of pride. The last vestiges of the warp were retreating before the pylon's arcane energies. If he were to depart, it would have to be now. Reluctantly, his eyes never leaving Celestine's, Abaddon gave the order to withdraw. As his flagship's teleport anchors engaged, the honorable warrior Ezekiel Abaddon had once been so long before acknowledged defeat Cadia's defenders had managed. They had lost, though they did not yet know it, but they had also won. He had sought to break Cadia's spirit, send the vanquished souls of its garrisons screaming into the warp. He had not done so. Unfortunately, the Despoiler would not be denied the prize he had sought for millennia so easily. Foreseeing the need for a failsafe, Abaddon had the damaged bulk of the Black Stone Fortress, Will of Eternity, its system disabled by an assault from the Imperial Fist Starfort phalanx, hurled from orbit as an artificial meteor into the service of Cadia. The massive kinetic strike destroyed what remained of the wall's defenses, ensuring its envelopment by the now rapidly expanding Eye of Terror. Perhaps the only positive outcome was that the destruction of the pylons also restored Celestine's own strength and vitality as her connection with the Emperor was re-established. The badly wounded Lord Castellan Creed ordered an evacuation of the dying world. The Imperial survivors of Cadia, led by Cole, Saint Celestine, Inquisitor Katarina Greyfax, and Marshal Marius Amalric of the Black Templars, now calling themselves the Celestinian Crusade, used every void ship at their disposal, including Cole's massive Arch Mechanicus, the Iron Revenant, to ferry the 3 million survivors of Cadia. Unable to enter the warp because of the roiling instability of the Immaterium near the Cadian Gate, the Imperial fleet was forced to flee through the Cadia system at sub-light speed, and the Black Fleet gave chase. The largest and most powerful remaining Imperial capital ship, Cole's Iron Revenant, heroically sacrificed itself in battle against Abaddon's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, so that the Celestinian Crusade could escape to Glacius, the nearby ice moon of the world of Castle. It was Celestine who explained that she had experienced a procognitive vision that their salvation and that of the Imperium itself lay on that barren, frigid planetoid. Celestine's vision proved prophetic, for the surviving Celestinians were rescued from chaos attacks and the unforgiving Arctic environment at the last by the arrival of the Yonari through Glacius' hidden webway gate. Though his flagship was lost, Belisarius Cole had rescued its most precious cargo, the Armor of Fate, key to the resurrection of the Primarch Reboot Guilliman. The reborn Eldari guided the Celestinians through the webway to the realm of Ultramar in the eastern fringes of the galaxy, now also under the ferocious assault by the forces of the Despoiler. After some initial distrust, the Celestinians were ultimately taken by the Ultramarines to the realm's capital world of Macragge. Once in the Ultramarines' fortress of Hera, Cole revealed the identity of the artifacts in his possession. He declared that they were intended to resurrect Primarch Reboot Guilliman from the mortal wound that had seen him trapped in stasis in the Temple of Correction for the last 10 millennia. While the Celestinians and the Ultramarines were under potent assault by the forces of chaos within the Primarch's final resting place, Cole worked with Ivrain, the daughter of Shades and priestess of Enid, the Eldari god of the dead, to restore the Primarch's life force while Cole's technology healed his grievous wound. The resurrection of the Primarch was held to be a miracle brought about by the will of the Emperor. Celestine's unrelenting faith in the Master of Mankind had been rewarded, and this resulted in the end of the rift that had existed between her and Inquisitor Katarina Greyfax, who had believed the living saint to be a fraud and dupe of chaos. But the return of a living Primarch, one of the Emperor's own sons, revealed the depth of Greyfax's own errors of faith. She too now came to believe that Celestine was a true servant of the Emperor and instrument of his will. With Guilliman resurrected, he drove the invaders from Ultramar before deciding to make his way to Terra through the warp anomalies roiling the galaxy to an extent not seen since the Horus Heresy. Celestine joined the Primarch on his Terran Crusade, her combat prowess and unwavering faith aiding the Imperial forces of the Crusade in all their trials and tribulations in the warp rift known as the Maelstrom. More than once when trapped in the Maelstrom, the Imperial ships were forced to fight off raids by sleek hunting packs of traitor warships. Amidst a 1,000-mile wide cloud of corrosive spores, the Terran Crusade ships found themselves beset by swarms of vast plague flies as large as frigates. The monstrous insects took a savage toll upon the smaller ships of the Crusade until Celestine took to the navigator's observation blister of the Ultramarines' flagship Macrag's honor, unleashing her holy light in a blazing psychic shockwave. The living saint purged the hideous demon beasts from the void. The survivors of the Terran Crusade finally arrived in the Sol system at Luna through the Webway after being freed from imprisonment in another black stone fortress belonging to the Red Corsairs, following the Crusade rescue by the fallen angel Cypher and a troop of Harlequins. Celestine was one of the few Imperials present at the fall of Cadia to survive both the Celestinian and Terran Crusades. After aiding in the defeat of the forces of the Thousand Suns Traitor Legion and the Demon Primarch Magnus the Red on Luna, Celestine and her allies were finally ferried to the Imperial Palace on Terra. There, before the ultimate gate of the Sanctum Imperialis, leading to the throne room of the Emperor, where Guilliman would meet his father for the first time in 10 millennia, Celestine moved to minister to the frayed hordes of desperate pilgrims. Always determined to spread the light of the Emperor whenever she went, Celestine became a beacon of hope to all of Terra's oppressed and downtrodden. Guilliman emerged a solar day later from the palace and was soon restored to his former position as Lord Commander of the Imperium. As he prepared to launch a massive counter-offensive against the gathering forces of the Runist powers, there was no doubt that Celestine would stand at his side once more. Sometime after the Terran Crusade, Saint Celestine miraculously appeared on the hive world of Tsadrekha, which had been swallowed by the darkness of the Noctis Eterna, yet a Psyche had arisen on the world who was strong enough to act as an astropathic beacon that allowed its people to continue to maintain contact with other worlds despite the loss of the Astronomican's light. But like moths to a flame, that beacon also drew the Alpha Legion warband, known as the Unsung, led by Captain Kassar to the world, who sought to infiltrate Tsadrekha, defeat its defenders, and corrupt the beacon in the name of the Dark Gods. The Alpha Legion faced competition, however, for the Chaos Lord Khan, the betrayer of the World Eaters, had arrived to lead the final assault and claim the life of the beacon for Khan. When a contingent of the Imperial Fists Astartes arrived at Tsadrekha to aid the beleaguered defenders, Saint Celestine appeared from the warp not long after to aid this crucial fight against the arch-enemy. She entrusted the Psyche to Kassar rather than see Khan prove victorious, but was defeated and slain by the vicious cornered berserker in battle. But for a living saint, as always, death was not the end, but only a temporary defeat so long as faith in the Emperor remained strong. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you made it this far, then make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay tuned for more.